All right, so that's Captain James Frederick of the U.S. Coast Guard taking more questions there. And Sandra, I guess the headline out of this is that those noises that were picked up by the P-3 surveillance plane from Canada yesterday continued into today. They have been recorded. They've been sent to the Navy for analysis. You heard the fellow Carl Hartsfield from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution saying a lot of noises in the water, so they have to be very clear on exactly what they're listening to. But still, holding out hope against hope, perhaps, that maybe they're still alive in that submersible.
Holding out hope, and so many praying for their survival. Tom Maddox is joining us now, underwater forensic investigator, CEO. He was also a co-pilot of a submersible that traveled to the wreck of the Titanic back in 2005. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. If I can I just get your reaction first to what we just heard there? It does sound like the experts are telling them to take these noises seriously and that they could be indeed human generated. What was your takeaway?
Well, good afternoon, John and Sandra. Yes, absolutely. That was really probably the best news that I've heard through the beginning of this whole ordeal. The sounds banging, possible banging on the sub would be the first and best noises we could get to be able to locate the sub. No salvage can happen until we locate the sub, or until they locate the sub, obviously. So yesterday when I heard the report about the noises, and we did hear, and the Coast Guard referred to the 30-minute interval, that was extremely hopeful. Today they're not so clear about whether there are intervals or not, but the good news is that they heard them again today. So that's probably the brightest spot and the best news to come out of this whole situation since its beginning.
So, Tom, if we're looking at what the source of those noises might be, and let's just suppose that they came from the craft, would that be from the bottom of the ocean? Would it be somewhere in the water column? Is there a way to know?
Well, we don't really know, but after all this time, the days that have passed, I would assume that the craft has settled to the bottom. If it were in the water column between the surface and the bottom, it would be carried by drift, by currents and wind or waves, and it wouldn't be on site. So I'm not sure where they located the sound in relationship to their drop-off point or where they started their descent. But if it's close by, then we would probably assume that they are close by on the bottom.
Tom, since you have made the voyage to the Titanic wreckage site, just trying to wrap our minds around this, and you can certainly help us do that. We've sort of put together some of these graphics so that our viewers can understand better the challenges that this search and rescue operation is facing. Just to plainly show the depth challenges that they're dealing with right now. This is the deepest human scuba dive, right? Just under 1,100 feet. You no longer see light at depths just over 3,000 feet. You stop seeing things like the whales diving around 10,000 feet. The average depth of the ocean floor is 12,100 feet. You're talking about the wreckage down here at depths of 12,450 feet, Tom. I mean, that is the reality of what they are dealing with. And as the Coast Guard has said time and time again, they've never had a search and rescue operation at these depths before, Tom.
You're right, Sandra. At those depths in the ocean and beyond are the most extreme environments in the world. You have, and it's hard for people to imagine unless you've been there, but it is total blackness. Unless they have an artificial light source, and we don't know that if they're operational, obviously, so we don't know if they have light, if they are on the bottom and still intact. So they would be operating in possibly complete darkness. You have pressure that's immense. It's 400 times the pressure here on the surface. So you have a pressure around that sub at about 5,500 to 6,000 pounds per square inch. So it's trying to crush you. You can't breathe it. You can't obviously swim from that position. You couldn't survive outside of that capsule. So it is the harshest environment going. So and at that depth, as we've already seen through all these days, there are no capabilities to perform, no real on-site capabilities to perform rescues in that situation. So before you head into that environment, you have to know what the risks are and know what the possibilities are.
You know, Tom, as we've mentioned before in the last couple of days, this submersible was designed so that if it got into trouble, it was supposed to automatically float back to the surface. We don't know why that hasn't happened. But let me ask you this from a personal perspective, because you dove down to the wreck of the Titanic early in the 2000s. Those dives last anywhere between 6 to 10, maybe 12 hours. This dive was supposed to be about 8 hours or so. They've been down there now for 4 days. What is it like being in those confines at that depth? Can you imagine for those folks this long?
Well, John, that's really hard to speculate because everybody is different, but you're in an environment, in a closed environment. First of all, besides the depth and the part the ocean plays, you're in a small capsule that's very, very confined. It's not like living quarters. You're not on a cruise ship. It's a tight area designed to be used for 10 to 12 hours, on a regular basis. So now they've got this extended period of time that they're living together, and obviously human body functions and everything else takes place. But also, we want to call to attention that at the bottom where the Titanic is, the temperature is about 31 degrees Fahrenheit. It's actually below freezing, but because of the salinity and the salt water, it doesn't solidify. So the hull is going to lose temperature, lose heat very rapidly, and by this point, it would be freezing, close to freezing or sub-freezing in that sub.
Such an important thing to point out. Tom, I want to take everybody back to the touch screen here to really have your expertise weigh in on the materials that this submersive is actually made of. This is the viewing window, obviously up front. It's the way they can actually look out of the vessel at what is around them, but otherwise they're relying on these cameras, the subsea imaging, iCam, Rayfin, 4K cameras, 3-axis. This is obviously the materials. We know the carbon fiber hull to the titanium hemisphere, the carbon fiber and titanium makeup of this vessel. Can you sort of take us through the makeup of this and what this is able to endure, Tom?
Well, it's really beyond my expertise in that area. I'm not familiar enough with the Titan sub to be either opine or speculate on the construction of that particular sub. We do know that it's what we consider to be an experimental class sub, which means that it is new technology. So we know it had sensors, according to the company and according to OceanGate, that had sensors to detect if there was any movement or possible breaches of the sub. But I don't know that those would give you enough indication, enough time to be able to take corrective action if there were some kind of a problem. And again, that's beyond my expertise
well, Tom,
level when it comes to.
If I could just bring everybody back to the screen, because we're trying to give everybody an idea. If they are bobbing around, floating around, or at the bottom near the wreckage site, this is what it looks like inside. I mean, this is clearly showing the five people fitting into that close proximity. They're barefoot, we have been told. There's obviously no sitting room. There's no chairs. They are, they're in super close proximity. This is one of the passengers holding on, obviously the pilot at this moment, holding on to the joystick, which we've put a picture of because, Tom, we've been told it pretty much is not a glorified version of one, but a video game joystick. This is the wireless Logitech F710 gamepad that we've pictured here. This is the viewing window, we're told, with the toilet up front. There's no seats inside. These are the 4 electric thrusters location, the onboard health monitoring system we've been told about. And in the back of the vessel is the oxygen tanks and the electronics on board. This is it. I mean, we're all trying to wrap our minds around what this is made of. And somewhere in there, we're told, according to that news conference, that they've got some sort of stash of food supplies and water.
Well, again, I'm not sure exactly how OceanGate prepped their sub. I can tell you, to me, from our 2005 expedition, that's pretty spacious. We were in a 6-foot sphere with 3 people, and including all that equipment that you see in that image now inside. So we were basically in a fetal position, lying down for 12 hours for most of the ride. So that's actually spacious as far as mini submersibles go. But it is a cramped quarters. It can be claustrophobic at times, particularly even if you're not in a stressful situation. So it's a tough environment for them to be in right now.
Tom, you mentioned this being a lot of new technology, experimental technology to some degree. One of the former employees of OceanGate, a fellow named David Lockridge, has filed a lawsuit saying that he was terminated unfairly after warning of quality control and safety problems. Among his claims with this Titan submersible was that it was only, the porthole was only certified for a depth of 4,300 feet, but it's operating at 12,000 plus feet. He also says there was no unmanned testing of the submersible and that the hull integrity alarm would alert just milliseconds before an implosion. We do know that there is this hull integrity monitor, which would detect any problems with the hull as it was going through the descent phase, and allowing the pilot to bring it back up to the top. But if something went really, really wrong, would you have time to turn around and come back?
Well, again, I don't know. And John, I'd hate to speculate on information that I don't have all the data on and all the facts on. There's plenty of time for that. Right now, as a fellow aquanaut and Titanic diver, I would just hope and pray that they can find this crew now and bring them back to the surface. That's really what's important. There will be time for all of this to come out. I think trying to rush to judgment about this would be the wrong thing to do. I will say this, though, that in 2005, when we dove, it was older technology. The Russians had it for quite a while. Matter of fact, the subs that we dove in, the Mir 1 and Mir 2, were the same subs that you would see at the beginning of the Titanic movie. They had been around a while and proven. But like everything, technology changes. I mean, we have airplanes flying with joysticks now, full-size ships flying with joysticks and fly-by-wire technology. So again, I wouldn't want to opine on whether this technology was adequate or not unless I had all the facts. And that there's plenty of time for that down the road.
Well, every minute's going to count. We're watching all of it. Tom, thank you very much for joining us with your expertise on the matter. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.